Welcome.
Welcome.
It's Conversations, Cocktails, and Connections time, and it's a Monday, so I can't even remember the name of our show.
I'm Amy Hester.
And I'm Emily Reeves.
What are we drinking?
Well, tonight I thought that we would make a kind of modified version of a Manhattan. I have this new cocktail book that I'm pretty excited about. It's called Free the Tipple, and it's kick-ass cocktails inspired by iconic women. And this is the Joan Didion.
Where'd you get that book?
Amazon.
It's so cute.
It really is. It's got like all these like custom drawings
Yeah.
and everything in it. Like you can see like Joan, you know.
I love
Didion.
it.
Oh, anyway.
I love it.
So.
I wish we could go to Manhattan, and it might be a minute before I go to Manhattan.
I know. Okay, so what we're supposed to do is I'm going to make these individually. Like, usually I would just double them. I'm going to make them individually. So you're supposed to pour vermouth and bourbon into the rocks glass that's already half filled with ice. Add 2 dashes of the Angostura bitters and a cherry, and then crush the cherry with the spoon and stir.
Ooh.
So will you fill these with?
Yes, I will.
Both of them halfway filled with ice.
Okay.
And I will.
So Emily's gonna have to have an extra freezer just for your fancy ice.
Just for the fancy ice, it's true.
These are beautifully cubed. How many cubes?
I think that's enough.
Okay.
Remember we had the ice issue last
Oh yeah. Slippery little suckers.
That's a quote from Pretty Woman.
Yes!
Okay, so it is 1 shot of vermouth in each one, and I think that a shot is 1 ounce. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay.
What is vermouth anyway? Do you know?
It's a type of wine. I did look this up at one point. And there's sweet and dry vermouth.
And what are we doing?
We're doing sweet vermouth.
Good. I like sweet.
So that is the sweet vermouth. And then 2 shots of bourbon. And I went ahead and put our new bottle of bourbon out too because I was worried we might run out. So
Gotta be stocked.
2 shots of bourbon.
I'm excited. I've never, my favorite word. I'm excited. I've never had a Manhattan before.
I don't think I have either.
I'm telling you, I feel like we're learning so much because there's
You know what,
so
I'm gonna
many
just-
cocktails that are just classics that we've made that I've always been scared to order.
Look, I'm just pouring the rest of this in here because...
Because we like
And
bourbon.
we finished a bottle. Yay. Way to go, Conversations, Cocktails, and Connections. Okay, so we put those in the rocks glass with ice. Okay, so I'm going to add 2 dashes of the bitters, which these get used a lot in bartending.
I know. Well,
One.
and
2.
I'm telling you, I have
1,
heard of people that'll make their own bitters. Now,
Yeah.
we will not be those people.
Yet.
Yeah, well.
Who knows where we'll be in another 30 episodes.
We did have a conversation about possibly cooking on one episode, but that might
All right, so I'm going to add a cherry
be not so good.
to each one.
What kind of cherry?
Oh, damn. Maraschino?
No.
Yeah, we had to look up how to pronounce that to make sure we were doing it right. Okay.
Ooh, it's so thick. Like the-
So then you crush the cherry inside the glass with the spoon. Maybe you want to do yours and I'll do mine, and then you stir.
Okay.
I've got another spoon over here.
Holy moly, I
So
can
you crush.
Oh.
Ooh, that's kind of hard.
Slippery little suckers.
Who would have thought we'd have the opportunity to use that phrase twice?
Oh my
in
gosh.
one
Okay, I think I got it.
without making a mess, man.
I keep. Ooh, it looks like. So do you crush it so you'll get bits, or crush for the flavor? you
I think it's probably for the flavor.
Okay.
Just and then stir.
Okay. Done. Do we
Oh, oops. Bar apron.
Damn it! Cheers to Manhattan. That's a strong, tasty cocktail.
That's a good Monday evening drink. Cheers. I like it though.
Yeah, it is good.
Who's our guest tonight?
Robert McClarty, love him. Love Robert. He is so much fun to talk to. I personally do his hair, and I've been doing his hair and his wife's hair forever. And I have so much fun talking to him when he comes in because literally I don't have to watch the news. He fills me in on the important
nice.
things, which I love. And he's passionate about it. And he's just, I feel like he's full of knowledge.
All right. Well, so as usual, I don't know him. Amy books all of our guests because she is well connected. So I'm looking forward to meeting him and getting to know him.
You're going to love him. I'm excited. I think everyone's going to love to hear what he has to say.
Let's get to it.
Welcome, Robert, to Conversations, Cocktails, and Connections. I want you to meet Emily.
Hey, Robert. It's nice.
Hey, guys. Nice to meet you.
How are you?
On.
What's in your class tonight?
I've got some white wine.
Nice.
That is totally acceptable. We made a Manhattan tonight, so got a little bourbon going.
Very
Start
nice.
our Monday.
It's the first time I've ever had one.
Well, are you driving home?
I don't think so.
We'll see how the call goes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, Robert, tell us a little bit about what you do as a way of introduction, since I've never met you before.
I'll give you the I guess 2-minute version of my story here. I born and raised in Arkansas, and and grew up in the political world. So we, in 1995, decided to move to DC, and having known the Clintons from the days of being governor here, moved to Washington and started in the political world and did the 96 re-elect with Clinton Gore, moved around the world, around the country from 96 to 2003, and then landed back here for a short campaign stint with General Wesley Clark. And I promised my wife, who I met in 2000 on a campaign, that we were going to move to Austin, Texas. And here we are. We're still here.
Oh, she loves it. She loves it.
Yeah, she loves it. We're 17 years in Little Rock, and it feels like we've been here for 6 months. So it's been fun. But I started a firm with two of my friends, and back in 2004. And over the years, kind of built that up, and it became more of an event firm at the time. And we have kind of, since I do more non-event work, so they kind of took it into an event production route, and I've stayed here kind of working more into the campaigns, issue campaigns, kind of issue advocacy work, public affairs.
So the reason I really want you, so the Markham Group, Emily has some history with the Markham Group.
So in 2015, I won the Know Your Value Award with Mika Brzezinski.
Yeah, you know what? I remember you winning that. Yes.
Yep, and I was there, and I think I met Greg, and he was like, "Oh, I'm from Arkansas too," and then it was just kind of like this. That is the craziest story, because we were in Chicago for that one. Mm-hmm.
Funny, because now that we've kind of divided and conquered, I still do work with Mika. So in my, you remember, I kind of work for Comcast and do some corporate government affairs work, and we do a lot of work with Morning Joe and Mika and Joe and the whole team. So I still see and talk a lot with the team in New York. So I don't know if
we are big Morning Joe fans around here.
Yeah.
Well, and Amy did the New York trip. What was it, last year?
Yes, and hence the Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
No, we had so much fun. Robert totally hooked Julie and I up, and we had so much fun on the Today Show and the tour of 30 Rock, and it was so much fun. So I was telling Emily how much fun, I've been doing you and Jesse's hair for so long, but I love when you guys come in. And I feel like you're the person who I'm like, oh my God, I've got 30 minutes with Robert. Let's hear it. Let's hear what he has to say. I love hearing what Robert has to say with with views and elections and what's going on. And I would love to hear what you have to say about what's happening with the Postal Service and what, I'm not kidding, right? Like
Right.
something, I mean, there's some stuff right now that's going on with holding back things with the Postal Service, isn't that right?
Yeah, they're trying to cut funding.
Yeah, for a purpose. And maybe I shouldn't be vocal about it. I don't know.
No, I mean, look, the Postal Service is the same Postal Service it's always been. And there's a lot of dedicated men and women who get up every day and do their job and deliver the mail and pick up the mail. And it's a vital, part of our whole society. And now it's becoming more and more with Amazon and a lot of these shipping companies, and especially in COVID where I feel like every day I open the door, there's 9 boxes sitting in front of our door. But
we have that problem too.
yeah, right. It happens. But, I think it's becoming a little political because it's going to deliver a lot of votes. And in a lot of states where our current president's probably not that popular and he's not going to do that well. And he's looking to discredit a lot of states that are going to probably have large mail-in ballots. And it's part of, I think, a bigger plan to discredit some of the absentees. It's the same absentee process that he voted in, I think, 15 times. His daughter voted in 9 times. Yeah. His son-in-law's voted in 6 times. I mean, they ran through a list of folks there in the D.C. area that have voted from the administration at postal with absentees, and it's just in the dozens. I mean, there's so many people that rely on absentee voting and vote by mail. It's not that big a deal. It's even though it gets sent by the mail, it still is counted and verified and goes through a election commission where it's received. So the mail is just the carrier of the ballot. The ballot's still counted by the election commissions, both on a state level or a local level, wherever it's being mailed into. So
I personally have never done mail-in ballot, but I mean, if I have to, I will.
Mm-hmm.
It's still I don't know this for a fact, but I mean, it's still a big process to vote by mail. I mean, you have like different cards. There's a whole process of, it's not like the easy check your box and then you just send it in the mail. I mean, it's a process, right?
Absolutely. And in a lot of states now, there's a voter ID requirement. So Arkansas, you actually have to take a picture of your photo ID and send it in with your actual ballot. There's some states that don't, require that, but there's a lot of steps. I mean, you can't just, go to Kinko's and print off a piece of paper and mark it up and mail it in thinking you're cheating the system. It's a lot more difficult and stringent.
So since it's a presidential election year, are you busier this year than you would normally be on any other year? I know elections are every year, but this seems to be a pretty big election year.
Yeah, normally, yes. I mean, I think I'm a lot more on the busy side, but doing it from the house. We just launched a little super PAC. I'm gonna throw a plug in here for CAMSEC. It's Council on American Securities. It's CAMSEC.org. We launched 2 weeks ago, and we've had a big kind of launch. We had the DC National Guard head, Adam DeMarco, who was in charge of Lafayette Square during the protest. He just joined our efforts last week, and he was just on Morning Joe Friday. And we've got General Wesley Clark, who, of course, is involved. We've got General Abbott from the Navy. We've got, I don't know if you remember, General Honore from Louisiana during Katrina. He was the guy that smoked the cigars, and he was, all upset on those deals. But we're busy on that, and that's become, you kind of have to pick your lane on how you're going to get involved in a presidential. And since there's really no events and there's no tours and bus trips and all that normal stuff, last year or last cycle, I guess, I lived in Philadelphia for almost 6 months, getting ready for the convention. And this year the convention's virtual. So a lot of stuff is just kind of work from home and keep up it from a Zoom call, really.
Okay. How do you think the convention? How do you think that's going to go virtually? I mean, I'm sure it's going to be the best as it can be, but I mean, I don't even know what to.
It's going to be weird. I mean, it's never happened before. I mean, we're kind of all kind of walking down this path that no one's ever walked down before. I mean, your candidates are not doing events. The campaigns can't go out and do door-to-door voter contact programs. I mean, at this time, normally you would see these huge bus trips getting launched, with a VP candidate being announced this week by Vice President Biden. There would be huge, like 6-7 state fly-arounds and rallies with 10, 15, 20,000 people, and those just aren't going to happen.
So Amy and I've talked about this a lot, is just how creative every single type of business, regardless of what it is that you do, has had to be during this worldwide pandemic. I mean, she was closed for several weeks and had to get creative in keeping business going. So it's interesting that it's falling during a major political year. I mean, because there's, again, always politics going on, but people are just so much more attuned to it, right, during a presidential year. So have you seen any campaigns getting exceptionally creative, or have you seen any ideas that are really stand out to you that you think will carry over past the pandemic time when things return to normal, whatever that is?
Yeah, I think the online Zoom fundraising is becoming a big deal. I know just in the presidential camp, with just because I've contributed and given money to Biden, you're getting invited to a lot of different Zoom meetings to re-up or re-contribute. And it allows for, I think, candidates to not have to get on a plane and go 4 hours across the country to pick up checks. I mean, it's not the same as the shake the hand and get to see someone and know someone, but I think it's going to create a whole new way of raising money and just getting your message out over virtual events.
So will you watch the convention live online virtually?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll tune in. I'm going to miss it because I lived it last year, pretty much every second of it, but it's exhausting. I'm kind of glad that it's virtual. I'm still catching up. We've got a cat in our house that we had to get as a makeup animal for my daughter because I was gone for so much time.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
You were. I do remember when
my hair got long.
Yeah, you like, I'm only here for like a day or two. And me personally, traveling like that, I wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, I'm always before COVID, I was always so nervous about getting sick on planes.
Yeah.
Only because I've had a really horrible cold on a plane before, and I blame it just on the plane ride. So
yeah,
that happened. I'm always like, before COVID, I'm like wiping stuff down and hand sanitizing. I never did the mask, but now mask will be the new thing on a plane for me. I'm just going to say.
I know. When are you thinking about traveling? Anytime soon?
Well, I am going to Florida.
It's not getting on a plane.
But I'm not getting
on a plane. Yeah, driving.
I am driving. I did have a flight, and we booked it like eight months ago, and I did cancel it because I was not ready to do that. More so because the airlines like just changed the flight schedules so much that it was going to take like 9 to 10 hours to get there. And I mean, I could drive that, so it's no big deal. But I am excited. We do plan to we already have a list of grocery list to buy everything before. We're staying very close, and I am excited about it, but nervous too. I'm nervous to leave. I don't know. I need it.
You do need it. We all need it.
Yeah. So you're about to leave. When are you guys leaving? They're going to go to, where are you guys going?
We're going to go out to Colorado and just kind of virtual for the first month and see kind of how school openings go.
That's smart. How old are your kids?
We're 6 and 9. And our school has been very, very, I think, leading on a lot of the safety concerns, and they're doing a lot to ensure safety. It's just more of us just I think we just kind of see how it goes, and I hope that we can just kind of transition right back into it.
Yeah, I hear you. We're in the same, but our daughter's going to go virtual for at least the first 9 weeks. But my husband's a teacher at Central High, so he's got to go back. And it's been a lot of preparation and drama and getting ready for that.
It's a different time.
Yeah. Let me ask you one thing. I mean, it's not anything big, but about Bill and Bill Clinton in the 90s or 80s. And what's really funny is my grandfather was a state representative. I don't know if you knew that. Way back when.
Tell me that. I knew your grandmother was a justice of the peace, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember when she was
my grandfather was a state representative. Boyce Alford is his name. He's deceased. But so my family's always been in politics, and I can remember, my dad's just not right. I'm just going to go ahead and say that because I don't care. I remember coming as a kid and seeing Bill Clinton. He saw him, and like, my dad was embarrassing. Like, stopped and got out and was like, "Hey, Bill," like, he's running. And but he knew my grandfather, so he would be just, like, he would talk, and I'm going, "You're not." I mean, he's running, he's exercising. Leave the poor man alone. But there's things about, like, I personally like the Clintons on just because I feel like they represent a very classy bunch. But also I feel like my family has a little history with them too. But I used to have a sticker on the back of my car that said, "I miss Bill." I can't remember what my question was. I kind of lost it with that, but
it works out well because the dogs.
Yeah, the dog. I did lose my. Oh. When did you start working with? So in '96 or something, you worked with the re-election campaign.
We moved up there in December of '95. Yeah, so we were right before the re-elect in '96.
Were you finished with school then?
No, I took time off. I was I just finished kind of the junior year. I think I might have had a couple of classes before officially finishing junior, but yeah, we just kind of one night we were here for Senator David Pryor's retirement party, right? He had a big farewell dinner at the convention center, and we all volunteered for it. Tyler Denton, I don't know if you know Tyler, and Greg Hell, and myself, and we went over to the Capitol Hotel afterwards, and we were kind of having some drinks and got a little excited. And back then you didn't have cell phones, so we had those pay phones by the bathroom, and we all called our parents and woke them up. It's like, "We're going to DC, woo!" And that's kind of how it started. And we woke up, and you're not feeling great because you had probably too much to drink, but I shouldn't say that because we were under 21, but but the next day it still stuck. We had this kind of excitement and energy to go to DC and kind of be a part of something that, how many times does your governor and someone that you personally know become a president? So it was
amazing.
It was amazing. And we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into, and we were kind of naive and just went up there to volunteer. And there was literally two people in the whole office because it was not, the campaign hadn't even started yet. We just went there and got in our suits and walked in one day and, "We're here to work." And they're like, "Okay, we're not really doing anything right now," but that's how it started.
Would you not love for somebody to come in with that ambition though, like to work for you right now?
Oh, awesome. I know. I mean, it was awesome. And we were, it was just an amazing experience. And, I'd never been to DC. I think at that time I'd been on an airplane maybe twice, we flew to Disney World when I was like 10. And that was because my uncle flew for TWA and gave us free tickets. It was just a whole new, eye-opening experience. You get to meet all these amazing people and smart people, and see it from kind of that angle, and it was a life changer.
I've never been to DC. I've heard it's just awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, DC gets a bad rap because there's a lot of back and forth political craziness that goes on. But when you get off, what was fun for us is to see congressional staffers, both Republican, Democrat, out playing softball, in the front of the Capitol and hanging out, restaurants and bars, and it gets a bad rap, and it's just a great city. I mean, I wish we could get people back to just seeing that side. And used to, before airlines were connectivity was so easy, a lot of the senior senators and members of Congress would just stay up there, and their families got to know each other the whole time. They went to school there. They didn't get pressure to go back home. And it was really allowed for good policies and good relationships between both Democrats and Republicans.
So I've heard lots of those stories of like how everybody gets along and they're friends behind the scenes. Do you think that's the case currently?
Yeah, I think so for the most part. I mean, I do think there's probably some bitter enemies, but there's bitter enemies on the Democratic side. I mean, I know friends that get mad at each other from this issue or that issue, and they're in the same party. I mean, it's just part of being competitive, But for the most part, I think there's still a lot of camaraderie there.
I love when I can see on social media photos, and I feel like Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and George Bush are like buddies, and I feel like you can see pictures of their friendship, which is really, really
cool. Well, and I think it's kind of like competitive sports, they're all geared up to beat each other on Saturday or on a basketball game, and they get in, to a hangout situation, coaches do, and they're best buddies. I mean, it's just, you respect each other, it's just part of the life you've chosen in the career. You've got to kind of go out and fight for what you think is right, and the other side's going to disagree, and then you win or you lose, and you kind of move on and you live with each other.
So I feel like whenever they're debating, or prior to choosing who, like Biden coming along or whatever, I feel like all his dirty laundry is already out that they're going to pull from him. I mean, what could they possibly have? So what do you think they're going to try to come up with whoever is going to be his running mate? I mean, I don't know. It's disgusting. It's a disgusting part of it, but
I had a friend the other day that retweeted some stuff on Biden that was, from the past. I'm like, look, if you don't think that the presidential vetting team didn't find all that out back in 2008, there's nothing there that's not already there. So, I mean, I don't know what's there. I didn't do the vet, but, I think that's just part of the game. I mean, it's just contact sports, and you accept that. Biden knows that, Rice knows that, Harris knows that. Does it suck to get attacked and have a bunch of people hating on you on social media? But it's really part of it. Those that choose to go through public service, both on a Democratic side or Republican side, kind of just have to power through the negative of it. And it's just part of the game, unfortunately.
Well, I feel like the bar has been set so low given the kind of occurrences of the last 4 years and what people will tolerate or won't tolerate. Do you think that we'll see a reset in that with this, in this next cycle? Or do you think that the bar really has been set low and it's going to stay there, and now, it doesn't take much to jump over?
I've got hope that maybe what we're currently slogging through will get people to wake up a little bit, do a little more research, take a little bit more pause before you cast judgment, and I still hold out a lot of hope that people will believe in the system, which is the government we've created. I mean, we have a foundation that is kind of our guiding principles, like it or not. That's kind of what our founding fathers have built for this country to live on. And you kind of have to go with what the system's, what it's been designed to do. So I still think that there is hope for us as a country to not be so wrapped around the axle. Now, I will say, Citizens United has kind of given a lot of power to certain interests, on both sides, but that gives a lot of money and a lot of influence. And, and I won't name, my good friends over at one network, but a lot of networks play to their base. I mean, I think, and you've seen that with I'm sure with your marketing background. I mean, you got to get your 12 million viewers and you're trying to grow it to 14 million or 15 million. And people are attracted to controversy. And my mom every night calls me after watching Rachel Maddow. And I'm like, stop it, And I love Rachel Maddow, but she is, doing the same game that Tucker Carlson's doing on the other side. And it's time to go back to a middle course where people can just get news. What happened to the Dan Ruthers of the world,
Right. It's just an online reality show of all, like, the mentality of all reality shows now of, like, if you're the craziest and you're the one that causes the most trouble, you're going to get the most views.
And then you continue to do that because you get the support. So it's kind of playing to your base. And I get that. It's like, my father and I are on opposite political views. We don't argue it because there's just life's too short, right? But like I hear him say, he repeats verbatim everything he hears on the news, the political side of the news station that he listens to. And, how do you argue with that? Because that's all he listens to and all he knows. He's like, well, this and this and this. And I'm like, oh no, I disagree.
Oh, I know. And then you throw someone, it's just the left and the right have their daily talking points that go out and it gets cycled through the news, on both the left and the right, news cycles. And everybody just gets so hung up on what they think is right or no. There's no middle ground anymore in the middle, so it's frustrating.
It's so frustrating. I took all of my news source away off my radio. I changed my subscription to XM to not have news anymore because all I was listening to was CNN in the car for the longest time during the Mueller reports during that whole time. And I was just like, something's going to happen, something's going to happen. And then when something didn't happen, I was like, I need music. I'm not going to get into news anymore. So done.
I will say the challenge for my mom, and I've told her this, watch, Rachel Maddow for 30 minutes, and then you need to watch Tucker Carlson. Go see what both sides are saying.
Right. Yeah.
I think if we push people to like get out of their comfort zone and understand where other people are coming from, I think that can potentially be a helpful solution.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or create some weird conversations.
Well, Robert, I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. And Emily, you finally faced
and I do remember Greg talking about that award ceremony. Where was that? In Chicago?
It was in Chicago, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That was a really big deal.
That was a lot of fun. Mostly because I'm such a huge fan of Morning Joe. We've been watching it for years and years. And, to be able to be there was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty
awesome.
Okay, well, tell us your website for your McLarty Consulting
and Super PAC.
Oh yes.
Okay, yeah. So the Super PAC's probably more important. It's called the Council on American Security. It's CAMSEC.org.
Okay.
CAMSEC.
All right.
And my business is just McLartyConsulting.com.
Okay. Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you
well,
so
thank
much.
you guys.
Tell Jesse hello.
Okay, drive safely home, Amy.
Right? Our Manhattan is very low.
3 more. Okay, see you guys.
Bye. Thank